That's okay.
My name is Mayo Buenafe-Ze. I am an adjunct professor of the Cultural Anthropology program at the University of San Francisco. So let's hit up our Filipino market stand first. I've been buying from them ever since I started living in Castro Valley for like two and a half years now. I definitely proclaim that I am an indigenous Filipina who has grown up both in the Philippines and in America. So I am making Binagoongang Baboy. Baboy just means pork. Binagoongang means you put bagoong on something, whatever the next word is. I don't know if it's originally from northern Luzon, but I've seen it a lot in northern Luzon just because, like I said, bagoong was predominantly made in Pangasinan with the communities that live next to the beach. My great-grandfather was from Abra. He was indigenous. He was part of the ethnic group. And my great-grandma is Ifugao from Kiangan. And they raised my dad. When they ask me where I'm from, the short answer I give is Baguio City in the Philippines. And the main reason I say that is, even though I technically didn't move there until I was 18 years old, I felt like that was the place that I really grew up as a person on my own. And that's when I went to college, and that's the age I also found out about my indigenous ancestry, and that I was literally in the heart of the Cordillera region where my ancestors are from. I was born in Caloocan City, Metro Manila. I moved to the Excelsior in Daly City when I was 5 years old. I lived in Daly City until I was 13. There's a joke about Filipino food giving you like Filipino heart attack or Filipino cholesterol, which is kind of like really dark humor if you think about it. Our people didn't eat this much meat. This was something that, like I said, you know, like part of our cooking is it lasts a long time. Yeah. So people would cook maybe a dish like this, but it would feed a community or it would feed like several households. We're not trying to eat this stuff every single day. Okay. Well, I live in a street and there's a Jack in the Box and a KFC on both sides of my street. So I grew up with the smell of either burgers or fried chicken. And whenever my mom or dad didn't have time to cook us food, which is increasingly often as we grew up and they started needing to get more jobs, and my mom would give us $1 and she'd tell us to go buy a jumbo jack. She would have us split it in fours, and that would be sometimes all we ate when we got home from school. I was exposed around in Filipino food, but also fallback foods were often fast foods, and I literally lived on the same street as them. So like fast food, like in a way, became part of our diet. But you know, in the long run, later understanding that that's not really a good thing to rely on that kind of food for your health. It's that top second floor right there. I remember when I first watched my first Backstreet Boys video was literally in this living room. I didn't know that my family's tourist visa had expired and we were not legally allowed to stay in this country. The door has been painted and it's different, but the banister, the stairs, this is still the same. This eucalyptus tree is still. So at 13 years old, my family and I, with the exception of my youngest sister, who was born in the States, was deported back to the Philippines December 5, 1998. This is one of the things that I was thinking of making for our potluck today with rooted recipes, because One, I know this is my community that would understand this dish. They would not be like, oh my god, it smells so bad. When we cook in the way we want to cook, with the ingredients that I know is the thing that's supposed to be there, it's supposed to smell that smelly, you know? It's a way for me to like reaffirm my existence here. I knew I wanted to be a professor, I wanted to be in education, I wanted to be in the university. So right after I graduated, I was actually hired to teach at my university. After 2 years, you know, my department basically said, like, we can't invest in your education, but we need you to get your master's and your PhD so we can offer you those full-time positions. And I was like, I can't afford grad school. So I also applied for a bunch of scholarships. I applied for the Fulbright scholarship, knowing that it was one of the most prestigious scholarships an international student could apply for. And it's part of the exchange program, basically like American students who want to do research in other countries is like an exchange program with those students. Fast forward about 3 months later, I get the Fulbright scholarship and I'm like dancing on air, and I just feel like it's just this full circle moment. Like my ancestors were with me and they're like, we want you to pursue this path. We're gonna help, you know, bless you in this path. And these opportunities that I never thought in my wildest dreams I would ever get were starting to open up once I pursued this path. You know, for me, being a professor in anthropology and teaching people about the importance of cultural diversity and hopefully teaching them the tools to want to reconnect to their heritage is literally what changed my life. When I learned those things, it led me down a different kind of path for my life that brought me all the way back to America. You have to rely on memory. You have to rely on the memory of how something tastes to guide you, because there's like literally nobody else that you can ask or cook with. I'm gonna cook this food the way I want to cook it. It's not hurting anybody. And at the end, you know what? I'm gonna share it with you. I want to give you an opportunity to get to know me and where I came from through these flavors, through this dish that I want to share, that I'm cooking it for the purpose of sharing. When you know about your culture and you know where you come from, it helps you remember how to get to where you want to go. My name is Mayo Buenafe-Ze, and this is my proud claim.